This is the Ancient Texan. Seem like to be a decent podcaster. I have to have a post-election analysis called Post-Election BS. Well, what do we learn from the election? I think we learned that neither party stands for much of anything except how bad the other party is. Democrats feel that if Republicans get too much in charge, the world as we know it will end. And the Republicans feel if the Democrats get too much in charge, the world as we know it will end. And based on those two pillars of distrust, disdain, we hold a precarious balance where one side gets their nose out in front, the other side's level of disdain and disgust and fear motivates them to pull the balance back closer to 50%. Something like 51% of the vote went to Republicans, which actually for a mid-election between presidential runs, I'm told is like amazing for the Democrats. But that you can throw a few issues out on the table that seem to make a difference, like abortion. Republicans finally got their way and got in front, got their nose in front with abortion, and tried to make all abortions completely illegal. Democrats had it where all abortions were hunky-dory. Where most people are somewhere in the middle. They want, limited abortions with exceptions. That's where America is. They're in the middle there. But the two parties, especially in their dialogue, maybe not as much in their action, only discuss the extreme positions. It's only women's right that matter. There is no such thing as child rights. And the Republicans, it's only child rights, and there's no such thing as mother's rights. So most of us are not at either one of those extremes. Inflation. I mean, obviously the burden's on the Democrats because they happen to be in power, but a lot of our inflation comes from us printing money and not paying for what we're buying. That goes back for decades. I think the last balanced budget we had was with Sir Clinton. Maybe we had a little bit with Obama there, but mostly we've been spending money we don't have for a long time. Trump did the tax cut, spent money he didn't have, drove up the deficit. He also sent a big pile of money out during the pandemic. And the Democrats came out and sent more money out during the pandemic, which some of that may have been necessary. But if we'd been, paying our bills as we went, then we could afford to do this emergency spending during the pandemic. But we haven't been paying our bills for a long time. I just did a podcast on our monetary system. But neither side can, boast about our financial situation. Both sides have spent more money than we raised taxes for. Biden made a small step in that direction, but then he came right along and did student loans, which I'm all for student loan forgiveness, but the brave way to do that is put a tax in place that pays for that. I'm going to sneeze. Woo. So, we've been doing this for a long time. This, pardon me. I could edit that out, but I think you guys know I'm human by now. So, on inflation, neither side can speak. They can just mostly blame the other side and they not take credit for the fact that they're not doing their job in Congress about paying for what we spend. Going green, Democrats are, the world is ending if we don't, immediately get rid of all oil and gas and impoverish the world by spending all our money we have on green and, screw the people that starve to death because they don't have electricity and they don't have a chance to industrialize and have the good life like we do. Then the Republicans are, the extreme case. You don't even admit there's a problem. And in the best of cases, you probably keep subsidizing the oil industry. Trying to find the middle ground there. I don't see anybody trying to find the middle ground and trying to talk reasonable. I see two extremes. I see most people voting on one extreme or the other. We don't have dialogue to find out what's in the middle. What issue you want to take? We only believe in extremes in this country. It's the only thing we talk about, these extremes. Woke. That's kind of an extreme position. I can understand why the Republicans don't like that. Mad Trumpism. I can understand why the Democrats don't like that. The extreme in this nation are extreme. And they're not much logic, a whole lot of emotion. But that's what both parties run on, is the extremes and how bad the other side is. Both parties do it. In this election, the Democrats kind of stayed out of Trump's way and let him push his extreme agenda, and pick candidates that are really crappy. Herschel Walker, great football player, and I've only listened to him for 5 minutes, so maybe he's better than that 5 minutes I heard, but he sounded like an awful candidate. And the Oz guy, really? I don't quite see why Trump. Maybe he has to pick really crappy candidates. Those are the only ones that believe in the big lie. I don't know, but he needs to find somebody that sounds like they're a good, got their heads screwed on straight and they believe the big lie. Maybe those two things don't go together. The guy that stood up to Trump in Georgia, I assume it's Secretary of State or something in the Georgia. He was a Republican that did his job, and their Democrats should say thank you, because it could have got really ugly. He got reelected by substantial margin, as he should have. And Democrats should have voted for him. He was a good, solid Republican that did his duty. But the idea of a Democrat voting for a Republican, or even saying thanks, is pretty non-existent. And I'm pretty sure it goes the other way too. So we just had an election where the best thing you can say about it is there's a balance between one party saying how crappy the other party was and convincing a lot of people to believe the other side is the end of the world. And that balance of disgust and fear and general vomiting on the other side has been maintained. And as Americans, that's the best we can do. Wow. Come on, guys. This is the Ancient Texan. This is my 2 cents about the BS of our elections.